I am so excited about this interview today with Kelly Vaughn. If you have a Shopify store, if you are looking to build an e-commerce and you're wondering why is it that I'm getting traffic to my store, but my store is really not converting the sales that I'd hoped for, Kelly is your go-to gal. I tell you what, Kelly has been a member of the Hub for several years now as a service provider partner, and she has worked with so many Hub stores. And not only has she worked with, I would say, new Hub stores, she really works with more advanced Hub stores. She knows the stores that are actually converting, the stores that are actually making sales. She knows what works and why it works. And today on the podcast, we talk all about those things. So bring a notebook, get ready to learn all about how to maximize not just the homepage of your Shopify site, but the product pages, the apps that you need, and really the psychology behind why some stores work and some stores don't. Get ready to meet my friend today on the podcast, Kelly Vaughn. Let's talk about your business, strategy, and the juicy details of what actually works, from mainstream fashion to fashion on Main Street and the entire ecosystem behind it. How do we scale your company and do it with the balance and the happiness that we all seek? Let's hear from those insiders, experts, and strategists that actually make it happen. I'm your host, Ashley Alderson from the Boutique Hub, and I can't wait to chat. Hey guys, welcome back this week. I'm so pumped. Kelly Vaughn, the founder of the Taproom Agency, is here. Kelly, you've been a member of the Hub, Shopify expert, a trusted expert for all of us in the Hub for some time now. I'm so pumped to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You've got to give a little bit of Shopify background because, I mean, you're the go-to gal when it comes to a lot of advanced Shopify projects and development. I know you work with a lot of higher level stores. How did you get into working with Shopify? Tell me about that process and what you love about it.
Yeah, so I've been a software engineer for 20 years now. I know if you look at me, I don't look like I've been coding for 20 years, but that's because
you look like you're 20 years old. How is that possible?
I started when I was 11, so I'm 31 now.
Stop. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I started freelancing when I was 14. So I got a very early start starting to build websites for clients, and I kind of fell into Shopify when I was in college. My degrees are completely unrelated to software engineering. I went a total different direction for that. But I was given a freelance project by another local freelancer who's had overflow work, and he was like, look, it's on this platform called Shopify. I know you've never used it before, but you want to give it a shot? I'm like, I'm in college. I need money. Yes, of course. So I ended up falling in love with the platform immediately. Just like being able to see the direct impact of the work that I'm doing and be able to help these small merchants be able to grow from zero, really. So it was a really rewarding experience. And I quickly pivoted all of my work over to Shopify as quickly as I could. So I became a Shopify partner, Shopify expert in 2014. So I'm almost 8 years into this now, and just pure e-commerce is all I do now.
I love that. And you've got such a good vantage point. I've seen some of the work you do with boutiques, right? With our industry. And so you definitely know what's working, what's not working, how to optimize a store, no matter if they're brand new or if it's a multi-million-dollar store. So with our time together today, I would love to just walk through, it's a new year, what's working, what's not working, and really how to optimize your site in 2022. Let's start front end and talk about just like some of the basics. When you land on the front end of someone's website, what are some like common opportunities that you see that store owners could take advantage of right away?
I think starting on the homepage is a good place to start, naturally. So whenever I visit a new website, I'm trying to answer 3 questions from the homepage. Who are you? What do you sell? And why should I buy from you? You want to be building that trust immediately from that first visit. We all know we have a very short attention span, and so you want to capture them as quickly as possible. That means having very strong imagery on your site. That means having like unique copy. So it's not just the same copy that everybody else is using. Put a spin to it. Put your own voice into that. Like, if I want to become friends with you, that's going to make me want to buy from you as well and support you. So starting to build that relationship from the very beginning, from the outset on that homepage is really important. In the boutique space, I see one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of merchants make is depending on how frequently you're restocking or introducing new products, if you have a new arrivals section on your homepage, but those are the same products you've had in for a month, 2 months, there's nothing new about it. And so I would rather you focus on what are your best sellers? What is everyone else interested in right now? What's in season? and really focus on that and make that homepage your landing page for any jump off point, depending on who I'm shopping for, if it's for myself or for a friend.
Yeah, that's so good. I often equate it to, when you think about a boutique, like a storefront boutique, you drive by and you see their newly merchandised window. And that's the first thing that grabs your attention and says, oh, I want to go in there. That store looks like me. And so often people will create a homepage on their website that's kind of just like set it and forget it. And they don't come back and re-merchandise it. And you're right. Not only does that homepage like hero and all the imagery on that homepage need to answer the questions, which I love those questions, by the way, but the collections and making sure those collections you're featuring and the bestsellers that you're featuring really answer those questions as well, just like you would merchandise the window of your website or the window of your storefront.
Exactly. And you also notice when you go visit a storefront, you generally don't see empty space there. You're filling it with something. On your website, that means don't put sold out products on your storefront.
Yes.
Don't put them on the homepage. I can't express the number of websites I've visited on the homepage that all 5 featured products at the top are sold out. I'm like, oh, this store must not have anything, so I'm going to leave.
Yeah, that's so true. All right, walk me through the rest of the homepage. Do you feel like there's certain sections that are like a do or die must have on most boutique homepages?
Absolutely. So the hero is definitely a necessity. It's a good eye-grabbing moment, especially if you can incorporate video into it. Just like something fun, no audio, keep it short, and don't make it jarring either. So make it very like a nice natural flow to it. Then I get into the introductory text, and that's where you start answering those questions. The who are you? What do you sell? And why should I buy from you? That's your first touch point to actually building a relationship. Instead of jumping right into products, tell me who you are. Tell me why I should be here. And it's just like, a few sentences, nothing more than that. So keep it short. Then you get into your featured products. So maybe if you have new arrivals constantly, a new arrivals collection would be great. Or go straight into seasonality. Go into, we're in the holiday season as we're recording this right now. So I would focus on more of like, what do I want to wear to all my holiday parties this season? And put that first and foremost. You also want to include testimonials. And I think there are 2 different kinds of testimonials. You have your product reviews, pretty standard. I buy this dress and I get it and I love it and I write a review about it. But you also need the store level reviews. So why should I buy from you as a whole? Like, you have a lot of really great things. It's not just this dress that I bought. Maybe your customer service is amazing. Maybe you have a really solid returns policy. Maybe your in-store shopping experience combined with online, like buy online, pick up in store, is really awesome. Highlight those things on your homepage. These are all trust builders. And that includes make sure, especially you have access to your shipping and returns policy, especially if you do something like super cool that is trust building, like the free returns or free shipping and returns both ways kind of situation. From there, then you start getting into more products. And then once you get down to the footer or email sign up, definitely please have an email sign up. You need to be sending a newsletter. They're very important. They're really good for trust building and for community building and for relationship building. But once you get to the footer, one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot is people don't include links to continue shopping once you get to the bottom of the page. So you include your links like about us and FAQs. I can go on a whole 30-minute podcast episode about why you need FAQs. So we'll get to that one and contact us. But if you don't have links to actually keep on shopping, like new arrivals or top collections or, just tops, bottoms, dresses, whatever you want to do, you have to scroll all the way back to the top of the page to continue shopping. So the goal is no matter where you are on the page, there's a link somewhere to continue shopping.
That is such a good piece of feedback. I guess I've never heard anyone call that out. Like in your footer, continue that opportunity to shop. That's really, really good. I think about that a lot of times also on product pages. So like when I find something, right, I find a top that I like and I click on the page. But then I'm like, this top isn't for me. Or maybe they don't have my size. Like I've gotten all the way here and they don't have my size. And then I scroll down. What do I do next? There should always be another opportunity to continue to shop. So analyze for me a product page and what opportunities there are to maximize that page and maybe some mistakes you see there as well.
The first thing I notice when I go to a product page is, what are the images? Like, what do they look like? What does this product look like? One of the biggest mistakes I see is the images are not the same, what's called aspect ratio, which means they're not the same dimension photos. Like all of your photos should be like all a square or all the same size rectangle, for example. It's jarring to scroll through pictures and have the page constantly jumping up and down, especially on a mobile device. So make that very, very clear. Your product's description is extremely important, especially, in this space, you tend to be sourcing products from others. Do not use the same description that everybody else is using. Write your own description. And I know there's only so many ways you can describe the same sweater. That's where you hire a copywriter to help you bring that level of creativity, bring your brand voice into the product's descriptions. In the product descriptions, I see a few mistakes that are made as well. First off, if you're going to include any kind of description above the add to cart form, so like where you actually select your size and maybe color and then click the add to cart button, it shouldn't be more than a few bullet points. Like, do not push down that add to cart form. Keep it available at all times if possible. The second thing is on the product's description, if you want to go into more detail, which I highly recommend doing, it becomes too long. It becomes a wall of text. So it's really important to remember, as business owners, we tend to manage our company on a desktop or a laptop. We tend to not manage the company on our phones, but your customers are shopping from a phone. And so make sure you're browsing through your own website from homepage all the way through to checkout on your mobile device so you can see what the experience is like. You are going to be like, oh, that's a lot of text. I'm not reading that. And then you got to rewrite that copy.
I cannot stress this enough. In fact, the other day we dedicated an entire team meeting to checking out on the boutiquehub.com from start to finish. And there were so many times we got to places and we were like, what is this? Like, why is this like this? I can't believe anyone has gotten through this process. This is broken. So it's kind of like, we say this a lot inside of Retail Bootcamp, but coming through your business through the front door. Like if you are a storefront business owner, a lot of times you park in the alley and you come in through the alley, right? Shopify is the same way. You're logging in, but are you actually pulling up on the street, parking in front of the store and walking in through the front door and taking in that entire experience? So I completely agree. There's so much of that process that can be easily missed.
Exactly. And it's also important to remember you are the closest person to your business. So there are things that you will not catch because you're just used to them being there. Ask a friend or a family member, someone who you trust to give you very clear and brutal feedback, and have them go through your site and be like, this makes no sense. And don't get so quick to defend, well, it's because you did this. If they did not take the action that you expected them to take, that's a user experience error, because that's what your other customers are also doing. So trust somebody to give you really solid feedback and have them walk through the site with you. And so they can explain, here is why I'm tapping on this button here. Here's what I expect to happen when I tap on this. You get a lot of feedback that way.
That's so good. Are there any other pages on the front facing view of your website that you think are most important to really go through and review?
Your FAQs, now that you talk about it. So with FAQs, one of the really important things that I always recommend to our clients is your product pages. So if I'm sharing, I was just looking at this forest green velvet dress that I really wanted to buy for the holidays. And I sent the link to that product to my friend to look at it. She had never been on this website before. She had never shopped on this store before. And so she's seeing this product page as the landing page, as her first experience shopping on the store, which means you're answering those same 3 questions. Who are you? What do you sell? And why should I buy from you? On every single product page as well. So make sure you're educating your customers on who you are as a brand on each of those product pages. And part of that is answering FAQs directly on the product as well. So you tend to need, especially with clothing, you want to include what is, the care instructions. What is this made of? When is it going to arrive? How long does it take to ship to me? What are the shipping costs going to be? You want to surface this information on every single product page before you even start getting into the FAQs, which answers everything else.
Absolutely. So some of this, I would assume, to really judge the performance of the front end of the site, we really have to understand the back end of the site. We really have to understand the reports that we can read and analyze to see what's working and what's not working and why. So as we kind of transition to talk about the back end of Shopify, talk to me about how you're analyzing Google Analytics and some of the traffic reports that we have to see if what we have is actually working and where the first step in optimization would be coming from.
Yeah, the numbers that are surfaced to you can be a little overwhelming because there are a lot of them. I mean, just on the Google or just on the Shopify dashboard alone, you have a lot of data available to you. And then you introduce something like Google Analytics, you're like, this is too much for me, especially with the new GA4 that it's no longer new, but I'm just like pretending it doesn't exist still because it's too much for me even. So if you don't know where to start with your conversion rate. That's a very easy number to understand. So with Shopify, they give you 3 numbers: added to cart, reached checkout, and placed order. So the conversion rate is based on that third one, that placed order. But what's really cool is that you have more than one conversion rate. You have a conversion rate based on what device you're using, based on what browser you're shopping from. And you can dig down deep into both on Shopify and Google Analytics to see what is my mobile conversion rate versus my desktop conversion rate. Traditionally, your desktop conversion rate is higher because it's much easier to shop on a desktop pretty much always compared to a mobile device. But if your conversion rate on mobile is, let's say, less than 1% or less than 1.5%, you have some room for improvement. And then it's time to figure out why that's happening. So on Google Analytics, you can then dig down to see where people are dropping off on the site. So it's what's called the exit pages. Where are they leaving your site? Are they leaving on the cart? Are they leaving on a product page? Are they not even reaching a product page and they're leaving on the home page? Pretty typical to see a number of people drop off on their home page or on their first page they load just because maybe they accidentally came to that page. Who knows? We don't know. We can dig down a little deeper and see what other actions they were taking. But this gives you like a starting point of what to look at when you're just inundated with all of these numbers. I wouldn't pay too close attention to one individual number at any given time. So like conversion rate's great, but how is it compared to the number of sessions you have? Are you seeing a huge spike in sessions and then your conversion rate drops? Pretty typical, especially when you have, let's say, like a TikTok video go viral and you're getting a lot of new visits to your site that had never really intended on buying. That's pretty typical to see a spike in traffic, a drop in your conversion rate because of that. But if you're not seeing any other numbers change, but your conversion rate starts to drop, then you need to look at what actions have I taken recently that may have caused this. Some of them are going to be out of your control. Maybe we all know there's a supply chain issue right now, which is thankfully starting to improve a little bit. But if you're out of stock, of course your conversion rate is going to drop, especially if people add items to their cart and then they realize they can't actually check out or they can't buy what they want. Shipping rates, the cost of shipping is also changing. You also have, around December, shipping deadlines for receiving an item on time. So there are a lot of external factors that go into this, but maybe you changed your theme. Maybe you installed a new app and it's now making your store much more difficult to load or to actually reach checkout. Then these are the items that you're looking at, like what are the most recent things I took or the actions I took that may have caused a drop in this conversion rate. Or maybe it increased it and you're like, cool, this clearly worked.
Candy Club is bringing a unique and engaging candy store experience to your stores with delicious premium candy at affordable prices, providing a really great value to your customer. With the perfect appeal to moms and women and kids of all ages, Candy Club searches the globe to find the best tasting premium candy, seeking a classic candy flavor with a modern day twist, from chocolates to gummies to sours and to favorites. Candy Club is packed with innovation and excitement, and I'm telling you, my kids and I have eaten enough Candy Club to prove it personally. Visit their site for more sweetness at wholesale.candyclub.com. That's so helpful. Yes, all of those things. So when you want to take that next step and go, okay, now I'm going to optimize the back end of the site. I'm going to take all this information. I'm going to review how all of this is set up. Where do you want to start optimizing on the back end? Is it some of the SEO? Is it some of the language? Is it some of the apps? Where do you dig in first?
I usually start with SEO because SEO is a long game. It's very important to remember that SEO is a marathon, not a sprint. So the actions you take today are not really going to play much in effect in the near term, in the first month. But as you build up your content, as you optimize for SEO, you'll really see those benefits start to pay off. So make sure you're optimizing your titles and meta descriptions. Shopify automatically places those in for you. Change them because Shopify's description is actually twice as long as it's supposed to be as well. So you want to make sure it actually makes sense to a human on Google who sees that description and is like, ooh, that sounds like something I would want. And then you'd want to click on it. Also, writing blog posts. I'm a really big proponent of writing blog posts as a way that you can surface products, but also add life to your business. Give some like behind the scenes. Feature some of your customers and like, how they style themselves with your clothes. Include links to the products they're buying so they can actually, there's no dead end. So they can still just immediately start shopping based on that blog post. So SEO is a really important one that I like to start with. The second one is definitely apps. With apps, there are two different kinds of apps to remember. One is storefront and the second is back office. So your back office apps are going to be like you have, if you're on Shopify Plus, you might have Shopify Scripts or Shopify Flow installed on your store, or you have an inventory management solution installed on your store. Your storefront apps are going to be the ones that your customers are interacting with. Product reviews, product options, things like that your customers have to interact with. Those back office apps, they don't really have an impact on your site's speed because they're only performing actions in the back end. But those storefront apps, those are the ones that really get you. And I'll go onto a store, I'm auditing a store, and they have 40 apps installed, and they're like, "Why is my store slow?" I'm like, "I can tell you why your store is slow. Let's start at these 40 apps that you have installed. You have 3 product review apps installed. Why?"
Yeah, I would say that's probably more common than not. Like, I think the App Store, like, it's like an addiction for a lot of people. Everyone's all like scrolling the App Store, like, oh, what's next? Like, what is the secret? What is the thing that's going to push my store over the edge? And really, the answer's not an app, typically. Like, the answer is all the very basic things that you just walk through that just can be refined, can be tested, they can be iterated, they can be improved upon. And then maybe you're going to bring in an app, but the app is generally not the answer to success.
Exactly. And like when we are starting up a new store for somebody who's never done it before, there are some apps I always recommend installing. If you're a boutique, definitely have a product reviews app. I know, when you're just starting out, you feel like, well, I only have like one review. Is this even worth displaying? Yes. Any reviews are good. And also don't hide all your negative reviews because that is a huge red flag. If I visit a page that has like 80 reviews, let's say, and it's 5 stars, I am very skeptical of that. Maybe the product's great, but I have a feeling there are always going to be unhappy customers who love to leave a negative review just because they can. Show that review and reply to it.
I just have to like pause you right here and echo this because I think so many times as an entrepreneur, like this is your baby, right? So there's a lot of pride when it comes to reviews, and it's so easy to panic when you get a bad one and be angry and want to be defensive. But I think the best thing you can do in a situation to show true leadership is to come in and completely take someone's guard down by not trying to defend yourself, but to be professional and relate, be empathetic on why they might be feeling the way they're feeling. And really, I agree when I'm shopping, I want to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. If it's all 5-star reviews, I'm skeptical. So I think we all have to just like take our pride for a second and set it aside and know how to handle those reviews when they come and embrace them when they do.
Exactly. It's, I recently launched an app in the App Store called Gavallo, and we have 7 reviews as of recording time. 6 of them are 5 stars. 1 of them is 1 star. And it ended up being because their email got caught in our spam filter, so we didn't receive it. And so they left a 1-star review over that. But if you look at the review response, we just say, hey, we've reached out to you now on 7 different platforms. We would love to fix this for you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all you can do. Yeah. Exactly. Dazzle them with your customer
You're never going to
service.
please everybody.
For sure. Tell me more. So you were in the middle of apps that new stores must have, and product reviews was your first. What else is on your list for new stores?
I think having a buy now, pay later option is only becoming more and more popular. You have all kinds of options. They're all slightly different. So I would recommend doing your research to see which one's the best fit for your business. An Instagram feed is always a good one, especially if it's a shoppable Instagram feed. So you post pictures and tag the products that are in those photos. But one of my favorite ones is a user-generated content feed. Everyone loves being featured. Give them that opportunity to share their own pictures and have them display on, let's say, that same forest green velvet dress that I was looking at earlier. I can see how other people styled it, for example. And it gives me inspiration like, oh, well, I don't have this thing, and so I'm going to also pick it up while I'm shopping here because somebody else, it looks really good on them. So that user-generated content also builds trust with people who have never shopped on there before, because there are clearly others who are shopping there and loving it enough to share those photos.
How about stores that are more advanced? Stores that have been around for a while and now they just really want to fine-tune and optimize Shopify. What apps would you recommend for them?
I would look into doing a membership program and a loyalty program. They tend to require a little bit heavier weight, which is why I usually wait to do these until they're, higher revenue, have more back-end support for this. So let's say you offer an annual membership that offers free shipping, or you have a loyalty program where, every month you get $10 to spend towards the store, and it just that credit continues to build up, or you earn points for referring other people to shop. And so you're building that loyalty directly on the site, and you already have the customer base available. You already have the customers who are ready to shop, who have shopped there again and again, who now they can get rewarded for it. And so they have even more reason to shop there and tell their friends. So I absolutely love loyalty programs. And I do think that there's a lot of opportunity there, especially in the boutique space. I also will say a customer support solution would be a really good one to introduce at this point if you haven't already. Gorgias is one of my absolute favorites. That's Gorgias, where it combines all your social media profiles, phone, email, text, everything under one roof, and lets your customer support team respond to all tickets from one place. It also has, it's
mind blowing.
Helpful. It's also really cool because it pulls in the customer data. So let's say you get an email from a customer who's like, can I get an update on my order? When is it going to arrive? Well, it automatically recognizes that they placed an order for X items on Y date, and it shipped at Z date, and it's going to deliver this time. You can write macros, which basically auto fills the email for you, being like, hey, thanks so much for reaching out. Here's your order number. Here's when, your shipping is scheduled to be delivered on this date. Let me know if you have any other questions. You finish that ticket in less than 30 seconds.
That is ridiculous. That is awesome.
It's so helpful.
Gorgeous.
It's so much fun.
Writing that one down.
Yes, gorgeous. I would also say SMS. If you're not doing SMS marketing, really awesome opportunity in this space to be building community. I'm a really big fan of PostScript. I think Attentive is also great. So those are two that are definitely worth looking into. If you're using Klaviyo for your email marketing, total no-brainer to continue to use Klaviyo for SMS as well. You can actually write flows where you're communicating with your customers using both platforms, just depending on what messages you want to send to them. It's really important to remember for SMS marketing, it is not email marketing. You do not talk to your customers the same way in SMS than you do as email, because everyone opens their text. Everyone, talks about texts have such a high open rate. Well, yes, I hate having an unread text on my phone. Of course I'm going to open it. But it needs to be short and sweet. And usually my favorite kinds of texts are not the ones that are promoting products or promoting sales. They're the ones that are sending other things like, hey, here's this gift that I found today. I hope you like it. Just like the random things that are just fun, and you can reply to them and build these relationships.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's such an opportunity, and they are totally different platforms. You're so right. When you think about all the customers that you have, the clients that you've worked with, Kelly, what do you feel like your most successful clients all have in common?
I think they're willing to try something and recognize when it's not working and pivot away from it. I think, it's easy to fall into this trap of, well, my customers are doing this, so clearly I need to do this. And then they don't notice that their customers stopped doing it, and they're still doing it for no reason other than the fact that their competitors are the ones who are like, yeah, we have this on our website. I think it's easy to copy what your competitors are doing. And you are a unique business. Even if this business over here is selling the exact same thing, you two are very different business owners. Your team is very different. Your brand voice is going to be very different purely because of you. And it's important to bring that brand voice to the table. And that's one of my favorite things to see as we work with these larger businesses who have this really well-defined brand that's so unique that you're like, you see, let's say like this is totally different. Let's say Chubbies, for example.
I love Chubbies. They're one of my favorite. Yeah, absolutely.
If you're not subscribed to their emails, do it. Even if you have zero interest in buying their products, their emails are hilarious. And you can as soon as you get that subject, not even seeing who it's from, you're like, oh, this is a Chubbies email.
Yeah, I'm going to open it just to be entertained.
Exactly.
Yes, totally agree. Like what a well-defined brand that makes them so different than everyone else. And I agree. That is what we are all called to do. I have to echo that because Kelly, I get asked that question all the time. Like, what's the secret to success? Right. And so many times, there's just like so many stores in this industry that are just a carbon copy of one another. And like when you target everyone, you reach no one. So what's going to actually be the thing that sets you apart, and embrace what makes you different? Don't feel like you have to be your best imitation of someone else. Totally agree.
I hate to go like super self-improvement on this, but you are the secret to your success. Literally, It is you.
Totally agree. Well, one last question for you as we wrap up our time together. We are recording this at the very beginning of the year, and I know Shopify is growing like crazy, always evolving. There's always new tools, new products. If you would just look forward for the next year and just say, man, what is one like new feature or new opportunity or something happening in our industry with Shopify that you think most of our listeners today should jump on or explore, or maybe just like a heads up, this is coming? What would that be?
I would say this might be a controversial take, but it is totally worth looking into what's happening in the Web3 space. It is
I am new to this, so if someone does not know Web3, will you explain this? Because it's fascinating.
Yeah, so I'll preface this by saying I also don't know this. So I am still very much learning how all of this works. But the whole idea of Web3 is that the internet is becoming decentralized. So your users, your customers have ownership, have a stake in what you're building. And you're often hearing this in the terms of people purchasing what are called NFTs or non-fungible tokens,
yes,
which is a whole nother word.
I'm new to all of that too, and I just figured out what that is, and I'm still like mind blown.
I'm still I own 6 of them, but I don't know. Like I'm like, cool. I have a picture of a corgi. I don't know what it does, but I have it. But I'm seeing, I'm starting to see more and more brands, especially big brands like Nike, just acquired a company totally focusing on Web3. Adidas has released NFTs. Even companies like Applebee's starting to release NFTs. So they're building a community around it. So you can think of offering an NFT, like limited run, to your customers, and that gets them access basically to like new product launches, or gets to help determine the direction of like, should we buy this for our shop? And like give them that more behind the scenes, kind of building the loyalty side of things. So it's a really cool space to explore, with the whole caveat that it is brand new. And it's still such in its infancy that what it looks like now is going to be totally different 3 months from now. But it's a fun thing to start exploring. And it could be a very like, I am an early adopter of this and offering the super cool thing that nobody else is doing yet. You want a way to make yourself stand out. That's one of them.
I totally agree. This is a whole new space, man. If you want to feel like you're living in the Jetsons.
Exactly.
Or if you're old enough to even know what the Jetsons are, good luck. Maybe this is for you, or maybe you're just like,
that just made me really sad. There are people who are not old enough to know who the Jetsons are.
Right? Yeah, I know. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. Someone the other day was talking about the movie Pretty Woman, and they were like, what's that? And I'm like, oh no. We're failing.
This is your homework.
Yeah. This is cultural. We must know about this. Oh, man. Well, I really appreciate it, Kelly. Thanks for all your insights today, your wisdom today. You do wonderful work. It's always a pleasure to work with you. So thank you for today.
Thank you so much.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope that you loved it. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a rating and review down below for a chance to be one of our featured listeners each and every week. For more information on our spirit of community over competition and how to access complete show notes and bonus downloads from our guests, head on over to theboutiquehub.com and join the community. We'll see you next week.